This is the chapter review of One Piece 1099. So the chapter starts where the last one ended. King Bakery heard the news about the incident of Goa Kingdom. It was 12 years ago when they burned down the Great Terminal. So he's doing the same in the Sherbet Kingdom. He's burning down villages and shooting the protesters. Kuma is a very kind person, and on top of that, he's a priest. He couldn't stand it anymore, so he destroyed the palace and defeated King Bakery. While this was happening, in Marijoa, Saint Jaygarcia Saturn heard the news that there's a new king at Sherbet Kingdom. People in the Sherbet Kingdom wanted Kuma to rule. Even though he didn't want it, he couldn't refuse people's demands, so he became the king of the kingdom. However, he still lived in the church, and the one actually ran the kingdom was King Bulldog. He was the son of Queen Dowager Coney, the same Coney Bonney impersonated at Marijoa. He was the previous king of Sherbet Kingdom. Anyway, one day Bonney accidentally ate Toshinomi, or its fruit. We don't know the context of it or who was the previous user of this fruit, but from the things that are developing, Marijoa has certainly some kind of connection to this fruit. Anyway, after she ate that fruit, she turned into her adult form. It's the same form we saw at Shabodi, and even now. Everyone is shocked when they saw how strikingly she resembled Ginny. People even mistook her as Ginny. King Bulldog visited the church with his mother Coney. Bonnie was trying to practice her transformation while she was looking at Coney, so her transformation became very similar to Coney. When people saw them, they mistook Bonnie as Queen Dowager Coney. It was hilarious. Meanwhile, King Bulldog brought a piece of bad news to Kuma. The former king, King Bakery, escaped again, and now he had the government on his side. He twisted the facts and spread the news that Kuma had overthrown him for power, and now he became an evil ruler of Sherbet Kingdom. So the Marines decided to lend their forces to Bakery to take back the kingdom from the rebel. Kuma knew this was going to happen, so he decided to take care of Bakery once and for all. But if he did that, he wouldn't be able to remain in the kingdom anymore. So Kuma entrusted Sherbet Kingdom to Bulldog. So Bulldog took Bonnie to live with him in the castle and made sure she didn't touch any natural light. After making all of his preparations, he went out to see Bakery face to face. In the middle of the sea, Bakery had the support of a marine fleet. He said to the Marines, "Eliminate him. He's the tyrant that took my kingdom from me." But who is Kuma? He's one of the strongest Shichibukai, right? Just because they sent a marine fleet, it wouldn't change anything. Kuma sank all the ships by himself. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see what happened in Bakery. Is he dead or alive? After this incident, Kuma fled to the sea and became a pirate. He has many evil nicknames, and due to his strength, he had a higher bounty. Even though we didn't see his bounty, it should be the bounty we know of, that is 293 million berries. Meanwhile, Bonnie was living under Coney's care in the castle of the kingdom. Bonnie said, "When I turn 10, I'll become a pirate just like my dad." But it was a terrible idea. I mean, when she turned 11, she saw the momentous event of Paramount War, and she fell in the clutch of Marshal D. Teach. And this person wanted this 11-year girl to be his woman. From the current standard, he's definitely a pedo. But I know he'll try to play a victim card here. He'll say, "How would I know she was 11? She tricked me, and she tricked everybody. I'm the victim here, you hear me?" Anyway, Kuma didn't want Bonnie to end up having the same fate as Ginny. After all, she entrusted her to Kuma. So he traveled around the world searching for a cure for Bonnie's disease. He visited all the islands where he sent the Straw Hats during Shabodi incident. Unfortunately, he gained nothing from these trips. In fact, he caught the attention of Abdullah and Jit. They tried to get Kuma's bounty, but Kuma destroyed them. By the way, are Abdullah and Jit represent Muslims and Sheikhs in the One Piece world? We know Uruz is from India. I mean, in the sense that Luffy is from Brazil and Uruz is from India. Well, we have Alabasta that is inspired by Arab and Egyptian culture. So the kingdom of Arabasta might represent the Arab world, and Princess Vivi an Arab princess. Well, to be exact, an Egyptian princess. Anyway, we get to see Kuma and Dragon again. We can see all the current revolutionary commanders on the ship. We didn't see Sabo and Koala though, for obvious reason I guess. So Dragon told Kuma, Ivankov and Inazuma were both captured and were sent to Impel Down. Kuma had become even more infamous, from king to a tyrant to a pirate. Now this is interesting. Bello Betty said to Kuma, "I don't become the commander of the East, but Dragon wouldn't give me that position unless you allow it. Would you mind if I take it? I'll take care of that place for her." From the flashback, we know Ginny was not a fighter. She was good at other stuffs like wiretapping, setting traps, exploiting the enemies. Bello Betty is also not a fighter. I mean, not to the extent to other commanders like Karasu and others. She's good at encouraging people. Maybe Dragon wants the people with special ability in charge of the East Army. Who knows? Dragon knew about Bonnie's special disease. He never recommended Vegapunk to Kuma since it's almost impossible for Kuma to meet Vegapunk at Punk Hazard. But an accident presented an opportunity for Kuma to meet Vegapunk. He was talking about the incident where Caesar Clown blew up the island of Punk Hazard. So Vegapunk transferred his lab facilities from Punk Hazard to the Egg Island. The defense system of this new lab was still weak. Dragon told Kuma to make his move as soon as possible. Otherwise, when the system upgrades, it'll become impossible for Kuma again. So Kuma thanked Dragon for the information and promised him that if he managed to cure Bonnie's sickness, he'd like to become a revolutionary again. Dragon casually said, "Don't worry about it, just leave it to fate." Dragon talked about the blow-up wind at Locktown as well. He talked about people's dream, fate, and the blow-up wind. Even his ship's name is Wind Grandma. Anyway, the scene cut back to Bonnie. She's learning to fight and can even defeat an adult in a hand-to-hand combat. She can yield the same result even when she's training in child form. While this was going on, Kuma arrived on the island and met with Bonnie. They wanted to make a journey to the Egg Island. He wanted to check if Vegapunk can cure her illness. So he put her inside a box not to get her exposed to sunlight or moonlight. Vegapunk, Bonnie, and Kuma's first meeting was kind of creepy. There was a man with a weird head, an adult with a huge body, and a kid with an incurable disease. So while Kuma and Vegapunk were talking, Bonnie was playing with Centaur's axe. Even though Sapphire Scale was apparently incurable, Vegapunk had a way to cure her illness. He just wanted to use stem cell transplantation. Bonnie was the first to receive this kind of treatment. Most likely it was because of the cost. That's the reason it wasn't used in a regular hospital. Vegapunk was very curious to find out why Kuma was so huge and why his muscles were so strong. When he tested Kuma's blood, he was shocked to find out that Kuma was from the Buccaneer. He was very surprised by this finding, so he asked Kuma, why did he come to him? Doesn't he know he works for the government? It looks like the government treats the Buccaneer as the enemies must be eliminated. That's why Vegapunk was surprised as Kuma decided to do a test, knowing full well of the consequence. When Saturn was at God Valley, he showed his hatred and resentment towards this race. Like, they don't even deserve to live or breathe the same air as others. I think it has much to do with Nika. They were allies of Joy Boy during the Void Century. The same is true for the Fishman royal family, the Kozuki clan, the Mings, Giants, and the royal family of Arabasta. Anyways, Kuma knew that Vegapunk was working for the government. He has huge respect for Dragon, so he naturally trusts him. Anyways, so Vegapunk said to Kuma, I've been searching for an ideal host for my clone soldier project. You're a perfect fit. If you become a host of the clone army I'm planning to create, I'll cure Bonnie for free. I know you don't have much money, so it's a win-win deal. What do you say? The only reason Kuma came to Vegapunk and braved the risk was to save Bonnie. So without any surprise, he accepted the condition. While they were talking about this cloning project, Saint Jaygarcia Saturn was listening to their entire conversation. Vegapunk wanted to create this cloning army for a noble cause, but that didn't mean the rulers of the world would agree with him. So Saturn wanted to make the most of his army. He wanted to create it as lethal as possible. He even ordered Kizuru to help Vegapunk with his project, but in order to make it an ultimate weapon, he needed Kuma's full dedication. He wanted to milk the most out of Kuma's Buccaneer haters. Bonnie showed her utter hatred for Saturn. She haven't seen Ginny, so it doesn't make sense she's angry at him for his treatment of Ginny. I mean, it's possible he's her father, but that was not the reason she hates him. At least not to the extent she's expressing. I think it has something to do with Saturn's deal with Kuma. Perhaps he threatened Kuma with Bonnie's treatment. As an insurance, he took Bonnie to marry Joy. So he forced Kuma to accept his full cooperation in this project. Vegapunk had good intention, but he was not in control. Kuma and Vegapunk wanted Pacifista to protect the innocent and bring peace and happiness in the world, but Saturn had other ideas. Anyways, what's your opinion of this chapter? Comment down below.